What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to the Nightly Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Getting back into the swing of things, and it feels very, very good. We have a promising night in front of us. Still need some things to fall our way, but it is a promising night. A lot of action coming in right now. We're sitting 4-3. But we have the Angels first 5 in full game. They're up 3-0. We have Miami-Houston full game over 9. What is the score? Oh, now 5-0 Angels. Ooh, that's beautiful. So I need some runs in this Astros game. I also have the live under 11.5. It's 8-3. Mason Miller on 1 out, 2 runners on in the bottom of the 9th there. A lot of action, and I'm pretty pumped up. Winning night is crucial here after a very poor start to the week. MLB can get away from you. Doesn't matter what your season looks like. It can get away from you. So I really need to cash here. So Philadelphia first 5 was a loser. San Diego land under 9 was a loser. And I didn't move on the Padres. Man, was I hemming and hawing forever. Oh, all day I was hemming and hawing over that spot. Cubs first 5 minus 115. Look, the market just got us there. It was a pretty easy spot. Houston first 3, Houston first 5. Oh my. Now I need the over 9 in that one. LA first 5 in full game still to play. Athletics first 5 plus 113 looks bad, as it is a 3-0 for the Diamondbacks. An ugly start there. Then we have Seattle and Cincinnati. Seattle over 7.5. Rockies first 5. They're down 6-5 right now, going to the bottom of the 4th. I desperately need them to do some damage here. What is going on here? 1 out, bottom of the 4th. God, it looks so good so often, and then it's falling apart for me. So Rockies first 5 full game. I cashed Royals first 3, lost the first 5. It's so I guess it could still go awry. We'll see. A 15 bet, 17 in total, but 2 were postponed. Pittsburgh first 5. And the Red Sox. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Josh Witt in the house. What up, Josh? Grilled ribeyes and shrimp from his daughter's 38th birthday. Happy birthday to your daughter, Josh. Hope it's a great, great night, my friend. We got Dougie Wise in the house. Great evening for you, Dougie Wise. Light Cheese. Stimmy OG in the house. Cash the Yurfee, the first 5 over 5 in the Miami Houston game, and he's still on the over 9, but I'd like to cash that with you. The Godfather in the house. And there's Ronnie Crawford. Wow, says recovering from cataract surgery. Says good to see you again. Ronnie, we love you. Ron Crawford, I didn't know that you had been suffering, my friend. Great to have you in here rocking with us. Ronnie Crawford, fresh off of cataract surgery, ready to get to work with us. It's good to be nice. We haven't had the shotgun play today in a while. Let's celebrate our friend Ron Crawford. These are his vocals as a 19-year-old rock star. Shout out to Ronnie Crawford. Ronnie Crawford. Okay, 5-3. Okay, there we go, Stimmy. I've already cashed the first 3 and first 5 with the Astros. So, yes, let's cash that over together. Budzilla in the house has been a listener since you were on with Loshak. Wow, that is special, Budzilla. Thank you so much for rocking with us. That means a ton to me. Of course, you can see Mr. Peter Loshak Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the closing line, 5 p.m. Eastern, right here. Thank you guys for joining us. We have a ton of work to do. Let's not waste any time. Let's see if this game is over. And it's over. Okay. So we cashed that live under 11.5. Oof. By a half run, man. Ooh. Hey, we'll take it. With the Rangers up 9-0 and with what the Rangers are doing, the lefties and Kumar Rocker on the mound, very disappointing. And Troy was heavy on the Rangers. The line moved against the Rangers, and I got scared off and left money on the table. I thought overall we did a good job of capping. And now we're back to our routine. The lines are going to get real tight here in the second half of the season. I think we can use that to our advantage. So let's get right to work. I'm going to ditch this and let's roll. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Doug Wise added the Angels late. I love to hear that. So let's get right to work. Just 5 bets for me on the card, but I think this is a beautiful 3 in MLB, 2 in WNBA. I think this is a beautiful MLB card, and I want more. And the lines took a long time to come out. The first 5 lines took a long time. Everything, we were waiting for everything, but now we are ready to rock and roll. So let's do exactly that. Thank you guys for rocking with the nightly bag here on Pop Sports Radio. We start at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do the double headers off of the hop here. Game 1, Pittsburgh Pirates 52 and 49, 25 and 25 on the road at the New York Yankees, 56 and 44, 25 and 22 at home at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Let's get right to the weather here in the Bronx. Minus 3% runs, plus 17% homers, minus 19% doubles and triples, minus 7% singles here at Yankee Stadium. Am I not on? That's right. Okay, let's switch over to July 22nd. I was just making sure. Just wanted the confirmation here. And I've got different numbers here. I've got different numbers here than that. So we'll do an update here for our Ballpark Pal numbers. For game 1, we have minus 3% runs, plus 17% homers, minus 19% doubles, triples, and minus 7% for singles. It does. Oh, maybe that's what you had? I'd have to double check now. I think I'm tripping a little bit. That's exactly what you had. Okay, good. Okay, we're in business. That's exactly what you had. Minus 3% runs, plus 17% homers. It changes slightly for game 2 here. Shout out to Sharpie in the house. Respect, buddy. So let's roll here. And we're not entirely sure who will be pitching. We think we have the 4 pitchers who will be pitching. But let's just roll into this. We expect at this point, and let me check RotoWire one more time as it is being changing before I tell you my expectations. Always tricky talking about these double up spots. There is Coin in the house, just moved on his first college football bet. Look at that. TCU under 49.5 says the hoodie with months to prepare is a beautiful thing. I like that look, Coin. That makes a lot of sense here. Let's go to the MLB lineups and just see if anything has changed, as it is pretty fluid. Get over to tomorrow, and let's roll here. So, yes, they have Helen Mitch Keller and Garrett Cole, so let's just expect that at this point. Now, we know that these things change. They change pretty quickly, and it's pretty bothersome. You'll Bet Online. Shout out to Bet Online. They allow you to list pitchers. Shout out to my local, who I fought very hard with to allow me to, get out of action, list pitchers as well. Let's see if the books are listing pitchers. I think this will be a crucial information. And no, it's just not up yet. So we will be patient, but that will be our expectation at this point. So let's talk about Helen Mitch Keller. 6-7, 5.14 ERA, 5.39 expected ERA, 1.33 WHIP. He's been bad this year. Maybe this is just who he is. Maybe Mitch Keller is just a mediocre pitcher at best. Maybe I want Mitch Keller because we've called him Helen Mitch Keller for 9 years. Maybe I just cheer a little harder for Mitch Keller than I have other pitchers, but there's no reason to back him. Doesn't look good. Last start, 3 innings, 3 earned runs, and a 10-5 loss at home versus the Braves. That was Thursday, July 9th. Start before that, 5 earned runs over 6 innings at the Nationals. It doesn't seem to matter whether he's home or on the road. He's just not pitching at a high level. Garrett Cole, 3-5, 3.93 ERA, 1.16 WHIP, 3.59 expected ERA. I thought he looked very good at home versus the Dodgers. I think Garrett Cole is a pitcher that we back in important situations. I don't know if this qualifies for one. He got touched up for that 2-run shot at the top of the 7th inning. He was flawless through 6. I mean, he did allow 4 hits, walk 1 batter. So I want to back Garrett Cole. I want the Yankees first 5 -0.5. I want to challenge Mitch Keller. We go to the bullpens. Pirates bullpen 4.24 ERA, 1.40 WHIP, not very good. Yankees bullpen 2.03 ERA, 1.01 WHIP. Yes, this is the game 1 of the double dip. We talk about, and this is who we expect will be on the mound, Keller and Cole. That could change, obviously. The Pirates are raking righties, 295, 858 OPS. It is an issue. They can get to Cole. The Yankees versus righties just 219, 664 OPS. So let's see if we can get any kind of a line history here at all for this one. Again, it's very crucial to list pitchers today if you can. And if you can't for the double dip, I wouldn't move on it. I don't think it's responsible. We only have Bet Online and MyBookie up. Bet Online has the Yankees. I don't think this MyBookie line is real. But Bet Online's minus 159, sitting at minus 159. Again, I don't think we should put too much time into this until we know and when we're here this morning, but it's a 9 minus 115 to the under. That's higher than I would expect here. And Ronnie Crawford, shotgun play of the day is Seattle. And that, Ron, let me confirm that's for Wednesday the 22nd. Must confirm that it's for Wednesday the 22nd for Ronnie Crawford. So let's go into game 2 here. But I want Cole, first 5, minus a half, despite the excellent work the Pirates are doing against right-handed pitching. Game 2 here, we expect it to be the game that we saw, the start that we saw, or we expected to have today. That being Bubba Chandler versus Will Warren. The longer I sat with it, the quicker I wanted to back the Pittsburgh Pirates. In just the first 5. Bubba Chandler, 4.77 ERA, 1.45 whip. He's not being very good. He's walking way too many batters. I mean, remember when we saw him in 7 appearances and 4 starts last year? It was 31 and a third. He had 31 strikeouts. He walked 4 batters. He's walked 55 already this year. So, I mean, he's had some control issues, and you can see it here. It appears that it's just a problem. It's just a problem. But I think that he can slow down this Yankees lineup, and I think he does step up in the most important situations, in the biggest high-profile games. And Will Warren's not looked very good either for a while. Now, he's coming off a good start that last Sunday before the All-Star break, July 12th, 5 innings, 1 run with a solo shot, and a 5-3 win at the Nationals. That might be something for him to build upon. So, again, we need to wait and see if this is the expectation that it's going to be Chandler versus Warren. And I think that there is an advantage with Chandler over Warren as we speak right now. And if we look at these home starts, maybe I should slow that down. Maybe I should slow that down a little bit. But I let's just leave it with interest in the Pirates first 5 with the Yankees bullpen advantage. I don't think it makes sense to back Pirates full game in any sort of capacity. So I'm not going to put the full asterisk around the Pirates first 5 for tomorrow, but I'm interested in, and it took me a while to get there today, and I bet them today on the Pirates first 5. Of course, that was postponed. Let's move on to double dip number 2, Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox. Let's see what RotoWire has for expected pitchers. So they have Kramer and Bennett in game 1. That's how I have capped it. And then in game 2 here, they have Suarez and Bradish. So we have this incredibly exciting 14-game winning streak. We also have Swiggy talking about a 38% chance of rain. So why don't we start there? Thank you, Swiggy. It's plus 18% runs in game 1, plus 5% homers, plus 31% doubles and triples, and plus 6% singles. Let's get right into Boston weather in offensive conditions here. So for Wednesday, it looks pretty good to me. Light rain, 4 a.m., 7 a.m., and then it stops. But you're right. There is a chance of showers come the second game. Godfather says on X, the Yankees have Cole in game 1 and Fried in game 2. I saw that Fried was a possibility. That's very, very important information, Godfather. That's very important information and will require a lot more study if it is Maximus Fried back in business. Thank you for the heads up there. I saw that he was a possibility. I just haven't seen him listed anywhere. But let's talk about game 1 here in this Orioles Red Sox spot. If it is Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer has the most interesting statistical profile through 5 starts that you will see in Major League Baseball. He has 29 strikeouts and 7 walks. He has just a 1.12 whip. And he's allowed 9 home runs in 26 innings. Every single run he is allowing is coming through the long ball. So he did not make the Orioles out of spring training. We've capped Kramer for a long time. I like him. He spent this long period of time on the IL with the right quad strain. It wasn't an arm-related injury. I like him. I think that he's good. Shout out to Ken Mizrahi in the house. D money. Ken, I've had this jersey for 39 years. Is that unbelievable? That is unbelievable. Wow. God, I'm getting old. 39 years I've had this jersey. I remember when we got it. And we got it in New York. Wow. My dad and I. Wow. We have Jake Bennett here going up against Dean Kramer. So I like Kramer. And I really, really like Jake Bennett. 9 starts, 5 of them have been quality. 2.35 ERA, 2.99 expected ERA. He was excellent in Worcester through 9 starts as well. Had a 1.60 ERA and a 1.02 whip down there. 2.82 expected ERA. Shout out to AOD in the house. D money like in Boston in game 1. It's hard not to want to keep running with Boston. And Jake Bennett is one hell of a pitcher. Now, the Orioles are getting to lefties, but these bullpens are very, very strong. We just need some confirmation. Bennett has not allowed a run over his last 2 starts. We capped him on Friday, July 17th. So he is now throwing 5 straight quality starts. He looks extremely good right now and should be backed. Orioles versus lefties, as I said, 248, 767 OPS. They're hitting them. These bullpens are elite. But, as much as I like Kramer, if it's a Kramer versus Bennett train, Bennett will make this 15 straight wins, I would assume. And then if they win game 15 in a row, why wouldn't we want them to win 16 in a row? Now, again, it's Kyle Bradish, whom we expect to be going up against Ranger Suarez. And, of course, we're going to need confirmation on all of these spots for game 2 of our double dip. But I told you guys, and we don't need to hammer everything again because we capped this one today, and we will do it again in the morning show. But I want to fade Bradish after the $90 million contract he signed. It's something that has always appealed to me. You signed the big contract, and I want to fade you. $90 million over 5 years for Kyle Bradish, and I want to go up against him. Look, he's a very good pitcher. 3.61 ERA, 3.83 expected ERA, 1.35 whip. He came off of the Tommy John. We got him for just 6 starts last year, and he looked elite. And, he's a high-end, top-level pitcher. I think he's a very good pitcher. And in saying that, I want to challenge him. And why wouldn't I want to challenge him with Ranger Suarez? You could say, look, it was a left groin strain that Ranger Suarez is coming back off, so he's coming off the IL. He didn't throw any rehab starts. They have a huge amount of belief in him. And if the Red Sox win their 15th in a row, I will expect them to win the 16th in a row with Ranger Suarez. Again, the Orioles will get back-to-back looks at lefties with Bennett and Suarez, but this is a team with the magic right now. I will, though, want to wait. I will want to wait and see that they have won their 15th in a row. And I'm not saying that I won't bet it if they don't win their 15th in a row, but I may not. I want to be riding this streak. I know I came to this dance very late, but I want this streak to be in play. And I guess I will still probably back the Red Sox, but I think I'd only back the Red Sox in a first 5 scenario where I would just go fade the great Bradish is what I will do here. So that will be the plan here. Excellent work, Sharpie. Excellent work, buddy. So that's going to be the plan. So if they lose game 1, I will still fade Bradish. If they win game 1 of the double dip, their 15th straight victory, I will take them first 5 in full game. So I'm going to be on them. If it is Bennett versus Kramer, I'll be on them first 5 full game, expecting Bennett to throw a 6 straight quality start. And then again, the plan of attack here. Yes, I did, Ken. Yes, I did. I did. Yeah, it was. I can remember it very, very clearly. Very clearly. This was actually my dad got this jersey. I got a Mets jacket. God, it was such a nice Mets jacket. It was, those dope button-up, shiny. Ah, man, those were nice. So I'm going to rock on here, but I have a plan for the double dip, clear plan for the Red Sox one. And for the Yankees one, I think I have the plan. It's to back Garrett Cole first 5, and we'll see if I want to add here. Okay, thank you, Mark A. That is great news. That is great news. You wouldn't think I'd be so excited about a push, but I thought that was going to be a loss here. So that is helpful. So let's add the push here. Okay. We roll on. So we get the double dips out of the way. Now we can smooth sail through these games. Let's do that here. Our next spot on the board, Is 2:10 p.m. Eastern. New York Mets at Milwaukee Brewers. We're at American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Minus 6% runs, plus 7% homers, minus 11% doubles and triples, minus 11% singles. We have Christian Scott here going up against Logan Henderson. I really want to back Christian Scott. I really, really want to back him. My first question when I was studying this game was, why was it moving to the over? There's a couple of these games that are moving to the over, and I'm not sure why that would be. I think Christian Scott is an absolute backable pitcher. His last 2 starts, he's not allowed an earned run. I've been very high on him since he came up in 2024. Of course, he had the Tommy John surgery. We didn't see him in 2025. He didn't start the campaign with the Mets here this year. He seemed to kind of, I don't know if he held a grudge. He didn't look good in his first couple starts in AAA. Then he looked very good. They called him up. And then he was, dealing with a lot of emotions on the mound. You could tell that very first start. I remember watching him. I had him, and he walked the bases loaded immediately. I like Christian Scott. Last 2 starts, he's not allowed to run through 10 2/3. And Big Drip James is here running with the Boston Red Sox. He's cashed for 8 straight with Red Sox money line. I get it, James. Keep at it. I mean, they look very good. So I like Christian Scott. Now, he went to the IL with a hip impingement, so we didn't see him for 16 days. He's only had 4 starts since then. He's not going deep into games, but I really like him. And he's cut his walks down. Last 2 starts, 12 Ks and just 1 walk. Logan Henderson is a excellent pitcher on the other side of the hill. He's not someone I'm lining up to fade. Those home numbers are spectacular. 2.97 ERA, 0.91 whip this season. He's got a 2.91 expected ERA. He looked very good when he came up, and then he was put on the shelf with a back strain. That back strain took a long time. He was on the IL from May 22nd to July 9th. So we've only seen him through 2 starts since he has been back. And the first start was okay. It was 8-4 loss at the Giants. It wasn't really on him, 3 runs over 5 1/3. But that last start was very nice at home versus the Marlins. Now he's got consecutive home starts. I think that he is a quality pitcher here. And it's not Tanner, Dougie Wise. That is the other Scott. This is Christian. Oh, you're talking about Tanner. Maybe you are talking about Tanner Scott. Sorry, because I'm talking about Christian Scott, so maybe you are talking about Tanner. Here, when we get to the bullpens, we know the Brewers have a massive advantage, and they didn't use high leverage arms tonight. 3.58 ERA, 1.14 whip. Mets bullpens looked a little bit better of late, but they've been bad. 6.03 ERA, 1.57 whip. The Brewers are hitting righties harder than the Mets. Let's get into this line history here, because I had a lot of interest in backing the Mets first 5+1/2 here. We have an 8-cent move to the over at Bet Online, and it's moved to a flat 8 at a bunch of books. Bookmaker slightly juiced to the under. Heritage has not moved it to the 8 yet, but it's minus 118 to the over, so we know that's coming. Why? Why is that? We've had an 8-cent move to Christian Scott. We do have Penny's lines finally up. So let's take a look at how they have split this one up, and if there's no price advantage here. So let's take a look here for a Mets Brew Crew. They have the Mets at plus 128 full game, and first half just plus 127. So there is not. This is strange. Let's take a look and see if the first 3 unders are up here in this one. So we have a 7.5 juice to the over. So this at a minimum should be minus 135 to the first 3 under. If these lines are up yet, and they are. So let's take a look. At a minimum, it should be minus 135 to the under. And this first 3 under is minus 135 to the under. It's exactly where it should be. Now, why is this moving towards the over? That's the question. Why is he moving it towards the over? And is that enough to give me pause? I think it is. Sharpie says Mets are using all the big guys now in this game. And Rod's wacky as the over angle, an over trend, but over the total in Garrett Cole home starts when playing against a marginal winning team. Over his record in his career, 16-3. So I don't understand why this is moving to the over. It's going to make me uncomfortable. I'm going to let it make me uncomfortable. The Mets there's no advantage to back the Mets first 5 because of how well Logan Henderson's pitching in his second consecutive start. So at this point, I need the market to marinate. And I guess if it's moving towards the over, they're not telling me I have an advantage with the Mets first 5. I don't want to fade Christian Scott. If I don't move on the first 3 under, maybe I stay off this baseball game at this point because I know I'm going to have a lot of action on this Wednesday card. So that's where I stand. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 2:10 p.m. Eastern. We have the Giants, Royals, and Rod Zawacki also has an over trend in the Mets game. Over's record since 2024 is 13-3 when the Mets were teams outscoring opponents by 1 or more runs a game in the second half of the season here. So we have over trends in the Yankees game and the Mets game from Rod Zawacki. Let's move on to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. That's our next spot on the board here. God, Luinder Avila did everything I asked of him. It cashed me the first 3, and I lost that first 5 in the 5th inning. It was very disappointing. It's not offensive weather tomorrow at Kauffman. Plus 2% runs, plus 1% home runs, plus 1% doubles and triples, and plus 2% singles. We have Landon Roop, 3.98 ERA, 1.27 whip, got 3.40 expected ERA. He, had a bit of a hiccup there around the beginning of June, and he seems to have found himself. That last start, July 17th, was a thing of beauty. 7 innings, no earned runs, 2 Ks, 3 walks. It was very, very impressive. Very impressive. And that came on the heels of allowing 1 earned run over 8 innings at home over the Jays. So Landon Roop is appealing to me. Going up against Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo, 4.39 ERA, 1.41 whip. He's got a 5.52 expected ERA. And we see that with some of these crafty pitchers. The McGreevy's, the Lugos. I know that Lugo's a vet and McGreevy's a kid, but they're both crafty pitchers. Now, Lugo has more velocity than McGreevy. But they're crafty pitchers, and their expected ERA doesn't seem to hurt them. They seem to get out of jams. Seth Lugo, of course, took the 107 mile an hour to the head in his start June 10th. He was off for 9 days. He's been very good since here. And Sharpie says, stressful first 300 catches in the Seattle game. Nice work. So here we go. He came back from the IL, and he had a great start at home versus Cardinals. Then he got touched up for 7 earned runs at the Rays, had a quality start at home versus the Rays in that second appearance against them, and then he got touched up again at the Mets for 6 earned runs. He's coming off a start where he only made it through that's second to last start, July 12th, made it through 4 innings, 8-2 loss at the Orioles, and then he had a good start at home over the Pirates. So he has consecutive home starts. Is that enough for us to back him? He's clearly, as you can see from his statistical profile, doing a much better job at home than he is on the road. I trust Roop more than I trust Lugo, but I still hold some concern, some fear fading Lugo. When we get to the bullpens, the Royals bullpen is an atrocity. 6.89 ERA, 1.69 whip. Giants bullpen, 5 ERA, 1.28 whip. Much better whip, but still allowing a lot of runs. And then when we get to the sticks, it's pretty much a wash. Giants versus righties, 241, 735 OPS. Royals versus righties, 244, 722 OPS. So let's get into the cash flow for this, the line for this. And we've already seen 10 cents of movement towards Roop. And that happened at 8:59 p.m. I did not know that had happened. I had moved way past this game by then. So there was a 10-cent move finally. Well, I shouldn't say finally, but a 10-cent move towards the Giants. And then from a total standpoint here, we have a move to the over. And we've seen a lot of these moves towards the over. Let's take a look at the price difference. I'd like to see a healthy price difference despite the weak Royals bullpen. Let's see if we have a price difference here. We have the Royals right now. Well, let's go with the Giants. Giants full game at minus 110 over at Penny. First 5 minus 114. Yeah, I mean, we're going to probably want to wait till we have cash flow information. I'm hesitant to look at it now. Let's see if we do have anything at this point. And we do. We have, oh no, they just pulled it for some reason. Just information on the over. But I'd like to back Roop here. Shout out to Dabby Cab in the house. Godfather says interested in the Giants money line pitching it with Roop and the bullpen. Yeah, no, I feel that way as well. And we're talking about a Giants team that, I mean, I assume they lost tonight. Probably shouldn't assume that. Why don't we just see what's happening? Let's see what kind of leverage situation they use for their arms. We have, yes, they lost tonight. So we have a Giants team that's becoming a clear favorite despite being 20-34 on the road against a team that's 25-27 at home. And Doge says, boycott the Blue Jays from a Blue Jays fan. By the way, though, Rod Zawacki says, bet against San Francisco in road games on the money line against AL Central opponents. So San Francisco's record since the 2025 season is 1-10. I still want to back Roop here, but that does concern me, Rod. It does concern me. So I like to back the Giants, and I think it's the first 5 full game operation here. I think it's the first 5 and full game operation. So let's roll on. Next spot on the board, Washington Nationals, Colorado Rockies, Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. I mean, I should just listen to the market. I don't know. It kind of is appalling how I listen to them sometimes and then I disregard them at other times. It's not that I was on the under in the Rockies game today, but the fact that it got up to 13, I mean, we just got to listen. Just listen. Had I have listened, I certainly would have been on that over. Now, we pushed the Rockies first 5, and we're in a somewhat comfortable situation. Well, we're up 7-6 in the bottom of the 6th here. So somewhat comfortable here. We also have an under trend from Rod in that Giants game as well, a 10-1 trend towards the under. We have very offensive weather here again, not quite as offensive as we saw today. Plus 38% runs, plus 24% homers, plus 22% doubles and triples, plus 25% singles. I had thought that it wasn't that, but yeah, wow. In my head, it was just because today's home runs were plus 44%. So I guess I saw the plus 24% home runs and thought it wasn't as offensive. I guess that's not really the case here. We have Cade Cavalli on the hill versus Gabriel Hughes, two high-level young pitchers. Cade Cavalli, 6-4, 3.78 ERA, 1.31 whips, got a 4.13 expected ERA. And we must ask ourselves right off the hop, has Cade Cavalli pitched at Coors? And I feel like I want to say he has. I feel like I've seen him pitch at Coors, but I don't want to say that without having the actual backing and not. So let's just see here with his splits if he has pitched at Coors Field. He has not this season, so let's go back to 2025. I don't care that much about 2022 and 23 here. He did not pitch there in 2025 either. Wow. And what he had a couple starts in 2022. All right, yeah, he didn't pitch in 2023 because he was coming back from the Tommy John. Okay, so Cade Cavalli is not pitched ever in Coors. Now, he's pitching at a high level right now. I'm not saying that we should completely disregard him. Guillermo, thank you, man. It was a great time with the family, but I really felt like I missed out on an opportunity to see a bunch of the Cappers I'm so close with. But, and Rod White says, yes, Cade Cavalli has not played against the Colorado Rockies. So we have no appearances at Coors Field. He's pitching at a very, very high level. 5 straight quality starts for Cade Cavalli, pitching very, very well. Rodswag says, bet on Cade Cavalli on the money line versus an NL team with non-base percentage of 325 or worse in the second half of the season. Cavalli's record since 2025, 6-0. I really like Gabriel Hughes here. First round pick, 10th overall in 22 draft out of Gonzaga. He's looked elite. He looked good enough in Albuquerque. I mean, he had a 5.31 ERA in Albuquerque. It's a tough place to pitch, but the idea that he would have only allowed 2 home runs over 40 2/3 in that elevation in the thin air there is extremely impressive. I like him. He's coming off a nice start versus the Reds. I remember that so well. It was Friday night, and I had assumed that this total at 12 I should respect. It made no sense that the total was so high. Of course, only 9 runs were scored. It was a clear under until the bullpens got involved. When we get to the bullpens, the Rockies have a clear bullpen advantage at this point. 4.33 ERA, 1.41 whip over the last 30 days. Nationals bullpen has been horrific all year long. And then when we get to the sticks, yes, the Nats are destroying righties, but so are the Rockies. Now, you could say the Nats is much more legitimate because they're not sitting here playing in the thin air of Colorado in all half of their dates. And that's a very, very legitimate and fair statement. So let's get into the line history. Let's do that up next, line history-wise for this Rockies-Nats spot. Well, first off, the total. This was a 12 juice to the under. Now it's an 11.5 juice to the under. I mean, they're telling us to respect Cavalli despite never pitching in Coors, and we had to move towards Cavalli from minus 122 to minus 133. Let's take a look at the price difference here as well. Price difference here for Cavalli. We know that there's an 11-cent move full game. Well, let's see if it's more expensive first five. So it's minus 131 full game at Pinnacle at this point. It's minus 137 first five. Wow. So I did have the first 3 under question mark, first 5 under question mark. I mean, Cavalli not having ever pitched at Coors does make me nervous. Should I stop that from making me nervous? That's great news. Thank you, Godfather. Should I? I don't want to fade Gabriel Hughes. I don't want to. I think I'll respect this market move, and I won't, I'm not going to fade the Nationals with this market move. And then if I can get over the fact that Cavalli's never pitched in Colorado, then the first 3 under and the first 5 under is in play. We can take a look at what this first 3 under and first 5 under is. Why don't we do that right now here? So we have an 11.5. So, you should get the under 3.5 at a decent price. The under 3.5 should be between minus 125 and minus 135. Let's just see what it is here. The first 3 under. It's minus 120. It's a pick 'em. That's appealing. Rod Zwacky says, I like the under, says Cavalli deals too. Dewan, we did, my friend. We did smash the Cubbies first. Well, not full game like you did, but first 5 was a nice to put cash in our pocket. I assume that we show up here tomorrow in this first 3 under, 3.5 minus 135. Then we get at least 15-cent move on it. Yeah, I can get there. First 3 under, first 5 under. Trust Cave Cavalli. I mean, he's a bulldog. It's not like he's going to come in intimidated. Okay, I think I can get there. I think I can move on both. Maybe I should just stick to the first 3 under, but I do think both are appealing. Let's roll on. Next spot on the board is another move to the over that I don't fully understand. Athletics at the Diamondbacks. And we have Gage Jump. And you guys know I'm a big Gage Jump fan. Going up against Merrill Kelly, who's been terrible this year. He just never seemed to get himself together after starting the first few weeks on the IL with the back injury. But let's get right into Gage Jump. 3-5, 3.78 ERA, 1.32 whips. Got a 3.88 expected ERA. He looked really good in the Pacific Coast League, and he just got better with every start. He got better with every start up until the last 2 PCL starts when he was didn't allow a run over 11 innings and walked 1 batter, struck out 15. Then he came to the show. He had bad luck in that first start at home versus the Mariners. They had a 500 BABIP, just ridiculous. Very lucky, unfortunate. And then he started shoving. Start in and start out, and we were cashing. And then came the end of June when he allowed 10 earned runs in 2 starts combined. At home versus the Dodgers, at home versus the Marlins, 2 tough teams to go up against, but over 7 2/3. He allowed 19 hits. He allowed 10 earned runs. He allowed 4 home runs, and he only struck out 6. It was not good. He had a bounce-back start on July 11th at the White Sox. A nice bounce-back start. And then on July 17th, he got hit again by the Nationals. And we talked about that game, how just bet the Nationals against any lefty, even if it's Sandy Koufax. Don't discriminate. And I discriminated, and I left money on the table because of it. Talk about Merrill Kelly here. But let me say this, that he's had 1 start against a team that's not hitting lefties hard in the White Sox, and he shut them down. So the other 3 starts all came at home at Sutter Health Park in tremendously offensive situations. Let's talk about Merrill Kelly, 5.20 ERA, 1.49 whips, got a 7.52 expected ERA. Now, look, I'm not going to try and create a sunshiny story when one isn't there, but the last 3 starts have been much, much better. And then you could say 4 of his last 5 starts have been much, much better. Now, only 2 of those starts were quality starts. Last start, he went 5 innings. He allowed 1 run. It was a solo shot in the 5-4 loss at home versus the Cardinals. Start before that, 3-1 win at the Padres. And he allowed 1 earned run over 7 innings. Now he's got the consecutive home starts. And I have a clear cognitive bias of vividness that Merrill Kelly is a good pitcher. And I should probably let that go. I don't need to keep it around, but I still have it around. Talk about the bullpens. Enormous bullpen advantage for the Diamondbacks. They're back to being very good bullpen. Ronnie Lofton and I were talking about it 6 weeks ago, where this was a bullpen to trust. That trust went away. And now it's back. 3.27 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. The over the last 30 days, A's bullpen, the worst in Major League Baseball, 7.16 ERA, 1.67 WHIP. And then when we get to the sticks, neither team's hitting righties at all. They're just not hitting them. Diamondbacks versus righties, 224, 671 OPS. A's versus righties, 225, 631 OPS. I've got righties here, and why do I have that? That is a mistake. It's lefties. That was an oversight here. It is lefties. So we have the stats here. Let me boost this up so I can see it a little bit clear. Look at them against lefties. They've been hitting lefties all year well, and now 286 over the last 5 games. That was an important oversight. And Godfather says Athletics first 5 plus a half would interest me if the price is reasonable. And the Godfather, I have A's first 5 here, not even plus a half, just A's first 5. I just have before that, why is this moving to the over? Merle Kelly's been much better over the last 4 starts. Now you could say how bad he's been at home, and that would be very, damn. Okay. Did not catch that over. Thank you, Mark A. Damn. Okay. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. This is the A's Diamondback spot. Move this over here. So we have a 2-cent move towards gauge jump from plus 104 to plus 102. Nothing much. From a total standpoint here, we have a 10-cent move to the over. It was minus 105 to the over. Now it's minus 115 to the over. Let's take a look at the price difference. This is what I really want to know. First 5 and full game. Are they telling us that there's an advantage with gauge jump, even though I think both pitchers can pitch okay? So let's take a look here. We have, with the Athletics, we have them at plus 102 full game, and first 5 minus 107. I like it. I like it. I like the A's first 5. I want to back gauge jump. I think that he should shine in these situations where it's not horrifically difficult, where he's not pitching at Sutter Health Park, where he's not going up against a team that rakes lefties. Now, the Diamondbacks do rake lefties, which is a problem. I'd be very, very interested just to see what they're doing on the last 30 days, as that will be often a part of my statistical profile on a game. So let's just quickly move over here, move this over to 6:21 and then 7:21. I just do this over at Fangraphs. It's very easy to pick the date that you want to use. It's how I build my worksheet. So let's go over his left-handed pitching, 7:21. Let's go to advanced here, and let's get this. So the Diamondbacks ranked 8th with a 777 OPS, 270 average. That is impressive. 113 weighted runs created plus. Yeah, so it's not a great spot for him. It's not a good, very nice spot. Rod's White saying the A's suck versus right-handed pitching. They do. Why is this moving towards the over? I think that the Diamondbacks' ability to hit lefties, let me just write this in here where it should have been 270, 777, is probably going to make this somewhat tricky for gauge jump. And why wouldn't Merle Kelly have another nice start? I know it sounds crazy to say that out loud, but it's been 3 pretty successful ones in a row. Why is it moving to the over? I am interested in the under. And then I think this A's first 5 should probably go on the back burner. This is not a team that's easy to pitch against. So I think it should probably go on the back burner. So I'm going to put a bunch of question marks for A's first 5. I'm not going to bet it right now. After the show. All right, let's roll on. Next spot on the board, Reds, Mariners, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. We've done some things well this year, and of course, we've made mistakes as any capper does, and I'm a high-volume guy, but we were right on it was time to be ahead of the curve on Brady Singer, and that's made us a lot of money. Let's roll into this setup. First, T-Mobile tomorrow, minus 6% runs, plus 7% homers, minus 16% triples, and minus 5% singles. We have Brady Singer going up against Emerson Hancock. Now, we've already heard from Ronnie Crawford. This is a shotgun play of the day. Is on the Seattle Mariners. Brady Singer, 4.56 ERA, 1.41 whips, got a 5.19 expected ERA. We know that the Reds pulled him after that May 17th start. He had allowed 6 home runs over his last 2 starts. He had allowed 11 home runs over his last 5 starts, and they gave him a reset break for Brady Singer. And of course, we know the Royals basically gave up on him. And so after that reset, he has been very good. He's had one bad start. It was at the Pirates. We know the Pirates have been raking. These last 2 starts have been excellent. 7 1/3 at home versus the Phillies. 7 innings in the thin air of Colorado. I mean, he's just pitching as well as he's pitched in a long, long time, and he's been making us money. Let's talk. El Martinez, keep us in the loop. I need it as well, so keep us in the loop as to what's going on in that one. Emerson Hancock, 6-4, 3.17 ERA, 1.01 whip, got a 4.33 expected ERA. Hancock was pulled from his last start. He took a 107.2 comebacker off of his hand. He initially stayed in the game, but his middle finger began to swell, and he left in the second inning. It was negative. All the x-rays were negative, and he's good to go here. I'm a big Hancock believer, and you guys remember the fights I got in with people last year defending him until he was sent to the minors, and everybody else was right. And you guys know that I really believe that these extremely high draft picks with a high ceiling should be given a lot of room to develop. Now, he looked bad mid-June, June 14th at the Nationals. He allowed 6 runs over 4 innings, came back at home versus Red Sox, allowed 5 runs over 5 1/3. Since then, he's had 3 really nice starts in a row, and the last start looked good until he left after an inning and 2/3. But the start before that at home versus the Jays, he completely shut them down. When we get to the bullpens, the Mariners bullpen starting to pitch well again. 3.74 ERA, 1.15 whip over the last 30 days. The Reds bullpen, 4.55 ERA, 1.34 whip over the last 30 days. And then when it comes to the sticks, neither team hits. The Mariners right now, that's not the update I was looking for. Al Martinez. The Reds versus righties, 221, 677 OPS. Mariners versus righties, 212, 625 OPS. So neither team is hitting righties. Now you can see the Reds are hitting righties better over the last 10 games. So let's get into the line history, and I'll tell you that the plan coming in was to be on the Reds first 5 plus a half. And this was, again, why is this moving towards the over? Why? How could this possibly be moving towards the over? Because I think, we have a pitcher's ballpark. We have Hancock who's pitching well. We have Brady Singer who's been pitching very well. Listen to this move to the over. It's a 25-cent move to the over 7.5. In fact, a book that's not reputable has moved it to 8.5. Books that are reputable have an 8 juice to the over. Bookmaker has this minus 115 to the over 8. So I'm missing something blatantly in this game. Just blatantly. Rod's Wax says, bet over the total and Brady Singer starts on the road when the total is 7, 8.5. The over's record during 2026 is 6-0. I don't want to, I would like the cash flow to marinate before I put too much time into studying it. But I'd be curious to see if this is all over bets here. And it's not. 67% of tickets on the under, 95% cash on the under. And the books are pointing and laughing. So let's take a look and see if they're... Well, okay, let's just go to the money line. I mean, I'm going to have to stay far away from that total if I'm that wrong. When we get to the money line here, we've had a move towards Singer. He's gone from plus 145 to plus 136. I can understand the move. Also, Rod Zwag says bet over the total in Cincinnati road games and day games. Says the overs record during 2026 is 16-5. I need a price difference. I want the Reds first 5 plus a half. So let's see what we are dealing with here. The Reds are plus 133 full game at Penny. Oh, sorry, did I say that right? No, sorry, plus 138. And first 5 plus 131. It's not much of a difference. To put it in perspective, the Mariners are minus 153 full game, and first 5 minus 154. And AM says it's hot in Seattle, 90 degrees. Well, I want the Reds first 5 plus a half. And I expect to get there. What would the first 5 plus a half be if I bet it right now? Minus 109. Look, I believe in what Brady Singer is doing. I'm not scared at all of these Mariners sticks. Now, we know the shotgun play today from Ronnie Crawford is on the Mariners. And Al Martinez says the Reds are pouring it on right now. So, yes, let's just leave it at that. That's what I want. I want this first 5 That is what is appealing to me. And first 5+1/2 on the Reds, and it's just this brisk move to the over. I've got to just tip my cap. So let's roll on. I think I should bet the Reds first 5+1/2 as soon as the show's over, and I plan to. Let's move on. Cardinals, Angels. This is being working. Backing Reed Detmers at home. We backed the Angels here, and we are in a business in that spot. And I want to continue with Angel Stadium is offensive. It is offensive this time of year. Plus 7% runs, plus 10% homers, minus 2% doubles and triples, and plus 5% singles. We have Michael. Oh, it's not going to be McGreevy anymore, is it? I believe they moved to Hunter Dobbins. Okay, so I had McGreevy as the plan. It is now Hunter Dobbins, which explains why there was nobody listed when I moved on the full game. But that explains why nobody was listed. I've already moved. I've moved on 3 bets, and you're going to hear back-to-back bets that I've already moved on. And the Angels full game is the first one. And I got a nice number. I got the Angels minus 115 with the great Reed Detmers on the mound. We've capped Hunter Dobbins before, but I don't have his full statistical profile in front of me the way I'd like to have it set up. So I am going to sit back and wait here. By the way, Sharpie says Hancock's not pitched in 15 days other than the 1 2/3 where he got hurt. Says it has to be 75 pitch cap tomorrow is his guess. And that's why it's going so heavily to the over. Says Seattle's Penn's got to cover 4 innings. Here, let's talk about Reed Detmers. 4.16 ERA, 1.12 whip. That doesn't tell you the story. He's pitching at a higher level than that. He's got a 3.27 expected ERA. That's one of the biggest differences of an expected ERA in the positive that we have in Major League Baseball right now. He's had some bad luck here. So let's talk about Reed. Jesse Dykstra. It's everybody was just so busy, and I didn't have a Saturday available because I was in Vegas the first Saturday and had a family birthday the next Saturday. Don't worry, I'll be back, and I'll be back soon, and I'll make up for it. So let's. It sucks, Jesse, but I hope your son had a great birthday, man. First birthday. Those are huge memories. I still remember Ella's first birthday so clearly. Carter's a little fuzzier. I don't know why, but Ella's I remember so clearly. Let's get back to business here. Detmers had back-to-back tough starts. It was almost inexplicable. I couldn't figure out exactly why he had them. And then he came back and shoved at home versus the Tigers on July 17th. Absolutely shoved. Maybe he needed a little bit of extra rest. He got it. He got the 8 days rest. We know he's going to be very highly sought after at the trade deadline. And the Cardinals have no power against lefties. Let's go into the bullpen. Angels bullpen been pitching quite well for a while. 3.74 ERA, 1.11 whip. Cards bullpen 4.17 ERA, 1.34 whip. And then when it comes to the sticks, the Angels are not hitting righties. Look, it's a problem. 233, 635 OPS last 30 days. The Cardinals' power is disappeared against lefties. I'm certain I have a big advantage here with Detmers going up against Dobbins. But I need to study Dobbins a little more before I add the first 5. So I got the full game at minus 115 on the Angels. It's sitting here at minus 115. It's available. Bet online right now. I see bookmakers moved it to minus 120. So is Heritage. I expect this to be minus 120 or higher, minus 125 when we get here in the morning. I would like to add the first 5 on it as well. When we get to the total for this one, it's moved to the over. I assume that's because of Dobbins and not Detmers. I don't really want to get involved in it. I'd like to see if this line is up now here at Penny. I'd like to see a big price difference. Let's see if we have one. A big price difference here. We have the Angels minus 114 full game and minus 126 first 5. Look, I just think this has to be moved on. LA first 5 to add to my full game. I think this line's going to continue to move in the Angels' direction. And why wouldn't it with that last start that we saw Reed Detmers have? And he knows all eyes are on him at the trade deadline. Angels full game for me, first 5 is I'm going to add it. And I had the first 5 full game today, and I want more money from the Angels. Let's roll on to my next bet. I'm on the Dodgers at minus 115. I could have put them both in at Pinnacle minus 114, but I can't list pitchers. I can list pitchers at Bet Online, so I moved there. Citizens Bank Park tomorrow, plus 9% runs, plus 19% homers, minus 3% doubles and triples, plus 1% singles, and we have a 41% chance of rain in the forecast. So let's go over to the weather in Philadelphia. Take a closer look here, because I thought it was supposed to be nice weather here. So let's take a closer look on Wednesday. All right, it's taking a second to get over there. There we go. Okay, so we have sunny in the morning, partly sunny in the afternoon, no precipitation at 4, nothing. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. No concern here that the 41% chance of rain has got to be in the early morning hours, before dawn. So here we go. We have Eric Lauer going up against Aaron Nola. Eric Lauer has just been a different pitcher since he's been with the Dodgers than he has in the beginning of the year with the Jays. He's been quite similar to what he was last year with the Jays. I knew it was a mistake when they gave up on him. They did it for Spencer Miles, who looks extremely vulnerable. We faded Spencer Miles on Friday, and if we think that Spencer Miles is going to be pitching for the Jays today, and we're going to on Wednesday, we're going to fade him again. Eric Lauer has just been a different pitcher. Last year, he was excellent. 3.18 ERA, 1.11 whip over 104 2/3, where he was, in and out of the bullpen. Rodswax says, bet over the total Eric Lauer starts versus an NL team with a team batting average of 255 or worse. This is the overs record since the 2025 season, 7-0. Philly Eagle Flyer is on the over. And LALV says the Dodgers haven't lost a game when Lauer starts. Let's talk about his last few starts. Last time, and it's been a while since we've seen him, right? We've not seen him since July 6th. So, he's had how many quality starts now in a row? 4 straight quality starts. 5 of 7 quality starts. And those 2 starts that weren't quality, one was 5 2/3, 2 in runs and didn't walk a batter. The other was 4 2/3. LALV is agreeing here on the over. I'm on the Dodgers full game. The question is, do we want to add more? Do I want to join you on the over, or do I want to add the Dodgers first 5 as well? It wasn't available for me at the time when I moved on it. Rodswag says, bet on Eric Lauer on the money line when playing against a team with a winning record. Lauer's team record since 2025, 9-1. Let's talk about Aaron Nola. 5.68 ERA, 1.45 whip. Now, I've often, we've seen these Philadelphia games and we're like, when we're capping, they're like, why is the line moving towards Nola first 5? And he's got a 4.20 expected ERA. It's much, much better than what he's delivered. And this is a man who's delivered he's offered up 23 home runs already this season. I mean, it's atrocious. We all have a bias as him being a gas can. I'm not saying that's wrong here. Todd Clinton, I know the feeling. Godfather is on the Dodgers money line here at minus 125. I picked him up at minus 115 during the game with the Phillies. The last time we saw Aaron Nola, the last few times he's been good. I mean, 2 of his last 3 starts have been quality starts. One was at the Royals. He didn't have a quality start at the Tigers, but he allowed 2 earned runs over 5 innings. And then he had I guess he didn't have a quality start last out because he allowed 4 walks. 3 is that limit. But he's pitching better. And his expected ERA is far lower than his actual ERA. Phillies bullpen bad, 5.78 ERA, 1.53 whip. We all assume they're going to be buyers at the deadline. Dodgers bullpen, 4.01 ERA, 1.35 whip, being consistent. Now, Phillies bullpens look better over the last 5 games, but it's been a problem here. Then when we get to the sticks, the Dodgers versus righties and the Phillies versus lefties is really the same over the last 30 days. Now, I know they've taken 2 different paths to get there. The Dodgers are hitting righties worse and worse and worse, seemingly by the minute, and the Phillies are hitting lefties harder and harder and harder by the minute. So they've taken different routes, but they both have very similar numbers over the last 30 days. Let's get into the line history here for Dodgers Phillies. As I told you, I'm already on the Dodgers money line at minus 115. And right now, this total's dropped to 9.5 from a 10. It was a flat 10. And it's juiced to the under at 9.5. Now, we're seeing low-scoring games. I mean, I'm sure that is affecting the gambling public. These Dodgers games have all been low-scoring on this road trip pretty much. I think there's one outlier. And then when we get to the line, we have a minus 115. Now, minus 108 at bookmaker. I got to check that out. So this opened up at minus 105, moved to minus 115. That's when I got it at minus 115. How does bookmaker have it at minus 108? Oh, they just opened it at minus 108 and haven't touched it. And it just moved to minus 120. Okay, I like to hear that, Godfather. I like to hear that. So let's take a look at the price difference. So I'm not with you guys on the over. I don't disagree with it. I mean, it was listed at a 10 to obviously get under cash. We've seen very low scoring games. Is this going to be different? It's an earlier game, you know. Uh, but I think that Nola's expected ERA should be respected. Let's take a look at the price difference. So this is interesting. Do I want to add to the Dodgers here? We have the Dodgers full game minus 114, first five minus 117. Not much of a difference. The Phillies are plus 104 and first five plus 100. I'm not sure if it's necessary at this point to add the full game. Excuse me, to add the first five. I'm not sure. And I'm going to keep question marks beside it. So full game is bet, and the first five is a question mark. And honestly, LALV is going to use an alternate line on the total. Honestly, I kind of like the under. But I think I stay away from it. I mean, you could easily make an argument that it opened up at 10 to get action on the under after all these games have gone under. I think I can be very comfortable just deciding whether or not to add the Dodgers first five, as I've got them full game at minus 115. Let's roll on. Next spot on the board, 6:40 p.m. Eastern with the Minnesota Twins, 49 and 52, 23 and 27 on the road. That was before today's game. And how did that finish up here? Wow, 7-7 in Colorado. How did that one? 5-2 Cleveland here today. And the under did cash despite it moving to the over. Philly Eagle Flyer says Ohtani probably has a day tomorrow. Betting he gets his first home run in Philly, says Philly Eagle Flyer. So let's talk about Twins Guardians. We're at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Weather-wise, it's not offensive. And it's not warm. Look at that, 68 Fahrenheit at first pitch. Minus 11% runs, minus 6% homers, minus 10% doubles and triples, minus 8% singles. Bailey Ober has looked very good since coming off the IL. He was on the IL with a right flexor strain, and he has looked good. 4.32 ERA, 1.19 whip. Look at Swiggy saying 60s in July, question mark. He's probably begging for that kind of weather. It's 100 degrees in San Antonio where he is at right now. So Ober spends some time on the IL with the right flexor strain, and he's come off and looked strong. First start was July 9th, and it was against the Guardians here. He faced these Guardians. Slade Ciccone, the last start he had was versus these Twins. So Ober's had one start in between. That was Friday, July 17th at the Cubs when he looked really good, 2 runs over 5 1/3. He's looked good in 2 starts here. Now, of course, his home numbers are much, much better than his road numbers. And I think that should be recognized. It doesn't seem too fluky. He certainly seems like a bet-on pitcher right now at home. Slade Ciccone, he has disappointed me this season, and I assume that he has disappointed the Guardians. They paid a pretty penny for him to bring him over from the Diamondbacks. Ciccone 4-6, 4.55 ERA, 4.58 expected ERA, 1.41 WHIP. Now he has been better at home than he has been on the road. As you can see from the rolling ERA, there was a time where I was like, oh, Slade's got it back together again. And that's not the case. Last start, he only made it through 3 2/3 against the Twins. Why would this be any different? Now, that was at Minnesota. This is at Cleveland. Last time he was at home, he allowed 5 runs over 5 innings versus the White Sox. Now, the White Sox are hitting righties quite a bit harder than they're hitting lefties, but he's not being very good. And he was pitching really well. He had a 5-start run where over the 5 starts, he allowed 6 earned runs. That was between June 4th and June 27th. And he fell off here. So let's talk about the bullpen. Guardians bullpen 3.64 ERA, 1.32 WHIP. The Twins bullpen's got a 4.46 ERA, 1.46 WHIP over the last 30 days. But this is actually the last little while. It's the first time they've looked competent in quite a long time. And then when it comes to the sticks, both teams are hitting righties in very similar fashion. Twins versus righties, 265, 767 OPS. Guardians versus righties, 268, 756 OPS. Rod Zweck says, bet on Slade Ciccone on the run line when working on 7 or more days rest. Cicone's team record in his career, 5-0. This is a lot of rest for Ciccone. 13 days rest is a lot of rest. I'm not entirely sure what. I know that it works for that trend very well, but that's a long time to be off. There's been a 2-cent move to the Guardians from minus 118 to minus 120. And then from a total perspective here, we have an 8. It's juiced to the under. It's a fascinating total, and it has to be weather related. Maybe we should just trust it. We have these 2 pitchers with a very, some poor numbers. and yet we have a low total. It's going to be much cooler. I wonder if I should just trust it here. Huh. I mean, if anybody's been watching Ober and Ciccone this year, they'll see an 8 juice to the under in mid-July and think, well, it's got to be an over. Now, bookmaker is juiced to the over. Heritage is juiced to the under. Maybe it's important to give this time for the market to find its way. Let's see what even though I'm hesitant to look at cash flow. I'd be curious to see what it is, man. We have 93% of tickets and 90% of cash on the over. Wow. All right. Well, if that is the case, I have to take a look at what this first 3 is. Because the assumption being that this first 3, let's see what Rod is saying. Sorry, I had to restart this 365. Rod White says Guardians won 8 of their last 9 games against AL Central opponents following a win. 5 of the Twins' last 6 games against AL Central opponents have gone under the total. Yeah, it's a playoff atmosphere. I'm not saying it's going to be sold out, but it's a playoff atmosphere right now when Guardians and Twins are playing. They know how important these games are going to be. Okay, why is this not? Let me just move to live. I'm signed in. I'm having a problem with this. I really, if I can't find this in 10 seconds, we will move on. Let's try this again. Come on. Show it to me. Okay. I'm going to have to let this go. I don't know why. God, this was doing it to me before. Maybe it's because I'm not signed in. Okay. All right. I'm not going to be able to check out first 300 at this point. I'm going to keep trying, though, because I want to be able to look them up while we're breaking these games down. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see if I'm in. Okay. So we have... Here we go. Okay. So this total... We have 90% of tickets, 93% cash on the over, and it's very low. It's juiced to the under 8 minus 115. So it should probably be a pick 'em. At most, it should be minus 125 to the under and minus 115 to the over. So let's check it out right now and see if that is the case. The first 3 under is a pick 'em at minus 120. I'm surprised that I'm coming here. Maybe I'm overvaluing weather, and maybe the market is sort of doing the same thing. The fact that it's not offensive conditions, the fact that it is a playoff type atmosphere when these two teams play, because they're both hitting righties. I'm going to need more time on it, but the under has certainly captured my imagination here. The first 3 under and the full game under 8. And then I just want to take one last look again at what the money line has done and the price difference. Once again, sorry about this, guys. So we've had a 2-cent move to the Guardians. And then is there any perceived advantage at Pinnacle for the first 5 in Twins Guardians? Let's see that right now. The Twins or the Guardians are minus 119 full game with Ciccone. First 5 minus 121. So there's nothing. There's just more juice on the first 5. Guardians are the Twins are plus 108 full game, plus 104 first 5. Well, I have interest in the under. I think I should wait. I think I should let this market marinate because more and more money is piling in on the over and it's just not moving. Well, I'll know what to do. And if it moves to the under, I think it might be worth paying for the 8 at that point. If it moves to 7.5, how could it possibly move to 7.5 with 2 perceived gas cans on the mound? Okay, let's roll on. It's the under 8 and the first 3 under that are appealing to me in the Twinkies Guardians here, expecting and hoping that the trends that Rod has laid out for Slate Ciccone off extra rest and Badley Ober, who had a ton of extra rest while he was on the IL. Let's move on. 7:07 p.m. Eastern with the Tampa Bay Rays, Toronto Blue Jays. We're at the Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario. And man, shout out to T. Moss in the house. This Blue Jays team is falling apart and will be sellers at the deadline, much to the chagrin of Blue Jay fans. We have Griffin Jacks on the hill. God, the Rays are brilliant, man. Pick him up for nothing off of the Twins, and look how good he's been. 4.08 ERA, 1.27 whip. Now, he does have the 5.32 expected ERA, but the eye test, which we don't want to use, he looks incredible. He's also coming off a terrible start. He'd had all these good starts, consecutively, and then he lost 7 earned runs in a 10-0 loss at the Red Sox. We don't know if it's Spencer Miles, but I'm telling you, he doesn't look right. And he I don't want to get too into this again because we've talked about it already, but it was the Braden Fisher Spencer Miles combination, and then Braden Fisher's dad died a month ago with him. They were in San Francisco for a series, and his dad died unexpectedly, and Braden Fisher's handling it very well, but Spencer Miles does not look good as a starter, and I think that he should be challenged. I think we should challenge Spencer Miles. And then when I say he's not look good as a starter, maybe that's a little much, but I don't know why it's not Eric Lauer in these spots, but they gave up on Eric Lauer here. So I want to fade Spencer Miles, and it looks like the Rays are a wagon. Doesn't it look like the Rays are a wagon right now? And the Rays would like nothing more than to stick a fork in the Jays and just shut them down and get them into trade mode at the deadline here. Rod's wife says bet on Tampa on the money line versus teams whose hitters draw 3 walks or less a game. Tampa Bay's record 2026 13-1. With the bullpens, the Braves bullpens absolutely elite. 3.08 ERA, 0.92 whip. Now the expectation is the Jays will be trading bullpen pieces. 3.65 ERA, 1.20 whip. It looks like they're just going to put a bow on the season and mail it in. The Sticks Rays are raking right now. 263, 796 OPS last 30 days versus righties. Jays just 225, 632 OPS. I mean, this is pretty simple. The Rays are running hot. The Jays don't look good. The Rays want to just, this is a rivalry spot. Of course, the Rays want to pull out the brooms against their rivals. And I want to fade Spencer Miles if it is Spencer Miles. Are they afraid to go with Spencer Miles? Are they looking for an opener to then have Spencer Miles piggyback it? This line's not available anywhere. But as soon as it is, I think we should trust Griffin Jacks. And I think that we should back the Rays. Rod's Wax says bet against Toronto on the money line versus Nail starting pitcher. His whip is 1.2 or better. Toronto record during the 2026 season 6-21. Of course, shout out to the great Matty Ice. Started taint play today. He gave out the Rays. That was a gift, and I was very lucky that I didn't. That you guys got me off of the unders. That would have been back-to-back games that I'd lost unders. Now, if I had been able to bet the first 3 under, it was the travel day. I struggled mightily getting the pictures of the first 3 under because I couldn't sign into my account and couldn't send it to the local. So I bet the first 5. The first 3 pushed, the first 5 lost, and the full game lost. And I would have lost both today. So thankful to you guys, the great cappers in the chat. And shout out to Matty Ice. Matty Ice is cashing and cashing and cashing right now. He is, with the taint play today running white hot, must be backed. Shout out to Nasty Nate in the house, and the Black Harry Potter in the house says, new here. I heard this is where I need to be. Says much love from Humboldt Country. Thank you for joining us. We are mid breakdowns right now. This is a nightly bag. We're here Monday to Thursday, and then at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it's accompanied by the morning bag at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. So I want the Rays as soon as possible, and I think it should just be a full game bet. I don't think we should get cute with it. Full game, and let's roll. Next spot on the board, 7:15 p.m. Eastern with the San Diego Padres 49-51, 22-27 on the road. Atlanta Braves 58-41, 30-19 at home. Truist Park in Atlanta. Let's get into the weather here in Atlanta for Wednesday, July 22nd. And we have plus 3% runs, plus 4% homers, plus 2% doubles and triples, plus 1% singles. Nothing to worry about, nothing to care about too much here. And the issue is we don't know who's pitching for the Braves, but I think it's Martin Perez. All signs point to Martin Perez pitching. So let's just cap this with the expectation that it is Martin Perez. We're going to start with Michael King, 6-7, 3.34 ERA, 1.16 whip, got a 4.62 expected ERA. He looked like he was the elite vet that he has somehow become. I mean, that was a nice pickup off the Yankees back a few years back. And then he had some hiccups. He stopped delivering there mid-June. He just really stopped pitching well, and then he gathered himself and found himself. He had the starts here. So from May 24th through June 16th, he allowed at least 3 earned runs in each start. So over those 5 starts, he allowed 19 earned runs. Ugly. And then he found himself. Then he caught himself He caught himself June 22nd at home versus the Braves. Doesn't allow a run over 7 innings. Then he gets touched up at home versus the Dodgers, so we're still questioning him. And then he has back-to-back quality starts. The second time facing the Dodgers in succession. We know that's not easy. And he had tricks in the bag. And then a nice 10-4 win at home over the Diamondbacks. He allows 1 earned run over 6 innings. And then last start at the Royals, 1 earned run over 5 innings. It's fair to say that he is back. If it is Martin Perez, the lefty veteran, you guys know I'm a believer of Martin Perez. Like, he's just not going to get you the strikeouts when you want him to. I mean, that's always been his issue. He has an 18.6% K rate, a 22% whiff rate, but he's got a 1.19 whip and a 3.54 ERA because he gets ground balls. This guy gets ground balls. 47.7% of the time, he is getting ground balls here. Triggered Talk in the house. Great to see you. We are in the midst of business, your type of business, to Trigger Talk, MLB business. So when we talk about Martin Perez, again, he's a tricky pitcher to. The statistics never seem to help him unless you focus on his ground ball rate. He's got a 3.54 ERA, but he's got a 4.61 expected ERA. He started 14 games, but he only has 2 quality starts. So it's because he doesn't go deep enough in the games. There are some issues here. Excellent work, Rob, my man, as always. So Perez has been on the shelf since July 6th due to the left forearm contusion. That's why he's not listed at this point, but he's expected to start one of these 4 games, and we think he's going to start Wednesday's game. He did not look good the last couple starts we saw him. July 5th at home versus the Mets, 4 runs over 4 1/3. June 30th, 4 runs over 5. And then June 24th, 3 runs over 4. He could use the break because if you look at the starts before that, he was shoving 5 starts between May 24th and June 19th. In those 5 starts, he allowed 8 earned runs. That's pretty impressive. Sharpie says Padres announcers have talked about how King's sinker has been missing all year, but it came back a few weeks ago, and he goes as his sinker goes. He lives on the edges. That makes perfect sense, Sharpie. That's just perfect to connect the dots as to why he is been pitching so much better. So I like King, and I like Martin Perez because he's another pitcher who deals with fatigue. Both of these pitchers deal with arm fatigue. I like the fact that King got some time off between July 8th and July 17th, 9 days off. I like the way he's throwing right now, and I think that Martin Perez should be able to pitch okay. What is the problem? It's the Padres versus lefties, but we'll get into that in a second. Bullpen-wise, Braves have the advantage. 3.65 ERA, 1.17 whip over the last 30 days. Padres bullpen, 5.35 ERA, 1.44 whip. We know that they're going to be dealing bullpen pieces. It's not being good. Now, this was the best bullpen in baseball last year. Why are they struggling to the extent? This was also the best bullpen in baseball for, the first 2 months of the year, and now they're pitching poorly. When you get to the sticks, Braves are hitting righties 259, 779 OPS. The Padres are now raking lefties. Not only that, but Manny Machado, who spent most of the year under the Mendoza line, has 3 home runs in his last 2 games. He hit home runs in back-to-back innings today. He looks like he is back. And the Black Harry Potter says King and Perez are dogs in their own right. I like them both. They're veterans. I like them both. I have a soft spot for these veteran pitchers. Let's get to the line history here. And are we going to get anything? We're not. My bookie has come out with a line with Atlanta at minus 118. I think that the issue of the Padres destroying lefties is a problem. The sticks are hotter than we've seen them in some time. I mean, this Padres offense has been so bad this year. It's seemingly just Ty France is the only one delivering. Of course, Ty France is in a contract year, I believe, so he could be a very appealing deadline piece as well. And the expectation is that Ty France will be traded at the deadline if they're out of it, along with Mason Miller and others. This could be a great opportunity for the Padres to restock their shelves. So we're going to have to wait till we get line history, but I do think that the Padres should be bet despite my love for Martin Perez. And I think we let the market do its thing. Its thing here. So let's roll on, but interest in the Padres. And I think I just leave it at that. I think the way that the Padres are hitting right now we should use to our advantage, and we should probably veer away from unders. So let's roll on to our next spot on the board, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, Detroit Tigers of the Chicago Cubs. This is another bet that I've already made. There'd already been a big move. It's not like I was ahead of the big move, but I'm on the Detroit Tigers. I'm backing Kiter Montero, who's been so good despite being put in very difficult situations with the return of a bunch of stars. He's been so good all year long. Let's talk about Wrigley Field weather tomorrow, Wednesday, July 22nd. We have Wrigley as the most run-suppressing park in Major League Baseball, tied with Progressive Field. Minus 11% runs. What a difference a day or two make. Minus 13% homers, minus 12% doubles and triples, and minus 2% singles here. Tigers, Cubbies, Montero has pitched in 21 games. He's started 15, and we hadn't seen him start since Friday, June 26th. He's been pitching out of the bullpen for the last month because Tariq Skubal, Casey Mize, Jack Flaherty all came back from the injured list. So he's got a 3.22 ERA and a 0.98 whip. I mean, he's another guy who just doesn't get you the strikeouts when you need him to. And that can be frustrating for a gambler. But he gets a lot of soft contact, and he has handled himself brilliantly, not complaining, understanding that there's veteran starting pitchers around him that have earned the opportunity to bump him. And he's handled it so well. I knew that Kiter Montero was in a spectacular situation with all these vets around him. And he has proven that he is going to be a truly quality pitcher for years to come. So he moves to the bullpen. Listen to this. In that relief role, he had a 2.08 ERA. It was only 13 innings. 2.08 ERA, 0.85 whip, 14 strikeouts, and 4 walks. I mean, it's very, very impressive. Now, they have a stretch of 13 games in 13 days. So we don't know how long they're going to go to the 6-man rotation, but we expect it to be more than one turn. And for how he's pitching, I hope he gets another opportunity. Then we have Colin Ray, 4.74 ERA, 1.42 whip. You know, he's an Eric Lauer type. He's a guy you want in your bullpen if you deal with injuries or if you need a long man and everybody's healthy. He's not pitching nearly to the level he did last year when he was a revelation. Of course, he came over from the Brewers and he reunited with Craig Counsell, and Counsell loves him. And he's a pitcher who handles the weather quite well. In these run-suppressing environments, he does quite well within it. His last start was a 5-2 loss at home versus the Twins. We know the Twins are raking righties, and he had a quality start, 3 earned runs over 6 Ks and 1 walk. He has now pitched really well in 5 straight starts. Let's talk about the bullpens. Cubbies bullpen, 4.85 ERA, 1.49 whip, being a problem. This Tigers bullpen's been very good over the last 30 days, 3.28 ERA, 1.19 whip. And then when we get to the sticks, we know that the Cubs are hitting righties harder than the Tigers. And we're not going to pretend that's not the case. 246, 778 OPS versus righties. I mean, you can't say that everything correlates here, but I get a dog price on Montero, on the Tigers, with the Tigers bullpen. And I take it. Godfather says Montero limits base runners and is supported by his ERA. This is a get-back spot for Detroit after the loss, and he is also betting the Detroit money line. Let's get into this line history here. We have a minus 102 now. Okay, I like that. I got the plus 100. This moved less than an hour ago to the minus 102. I got it at Bet Online, so it was plus 100, now minus 102. But that doesn't tell the full story because this, as I said, I missed it. This opened up at plus 116. It appears we're going to get dog to favorite scenario here. Went from plus 116 to plus 102 in 20 minutes. The line opened up at 2:09 p.m. at plus 116. 20 minutes later, 18-cent move towards the Tigers. Clear, sharp action, albeit with limits, but clear, sharp action moving it. Then let's get to the total. This total had a 10-cent move to the over from plus 105 to minus 105. It's a bit of a surprise here for me. Bit of a surprise. Rodswag says bet on home teams. Very good offensive team scoring over 5 runs a game on the season against an opponent with a hot starting pitcher here. Bet on home teams. That is the Cubbies in this spot. It says since the start of 2017, it's plus 55 units. So that's bet on home teams, very good offensive teams scoring over 5 runs a game on the season in the NL against an opponent with a hot starting pitcher with a whip under 1 over his last 5 starts, which would take you to the Cubs. I like the line movement, and I like where I'm at with the Tigers. Let's see if there is, and you know what? If this was moving to the under like the Guardians game, I would have interest in the under here. Interest in Montero pitching well and Ray holding his own. But I do think I have a pitching advantage first 5. Let's see if the market explains it, because this first 5 wasn't available when I bet it. So the Tigers are plus 100 a penny and plus 105 first 5. Wow. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. Which means that the Cubs are minus 111 full game and first 5 minus 123. A 12-cent difference. Whew. That tells me that Ray is going to pitch well. And if I like Montero, I'm not going to bet the first 3 under right now because it's climbed 10 cents to the over. So I'm just going to write wait. It's climbing. But let's take a look at what that price is. Let's take a look at what this price is here over at Bet 365. We'll take a guess first. So let's move over to it. So we have, where are we here? We have we have an 8 minus 115 to the under. So this is very similar to we had an 8 minus 115 to the other, didn't we, that we already looked at? Thought we did. Oh, no, that was an 8 at a pick on the Singer Hancock thing. So 8 minus, so this should be minus 125, just slightly juiced to the under. Let's take a look at what it is. We're going here to the Cubbies game in the first 3, and it is exactly that. Under 2.5 minus 125 to the under. Yes, there is. Yes, there is, Mr. Potter, our friend. Yes, there is. You have to be a silver or gold member of our channel. If you are a silver gold member of our channel, you get the invite. It's on our website. You can check everything out. You can check out everybody's action on our website too. It's a great site, pubsportsradio.com. We'll give you all that information, my friend. But we'd love to have you in the Discord. We all put our action in the Discord. We're all in there constantly. Okay, so I have the Tigers full game. I'm going to write here, just so I can remember, that the Cubs have a 12-cent difference first 5. That is a surprise to me. A big surprise. I thought Montero was the advantage, and they're letting us know that that's not necessarily the case. So I'm not going to add the first 5 in those conditions. So let's just make sure I remember that's a minus 123 for our morning show. And then I'm on the Tigers full game. I'm comfortable with that. And then the first 3 under, I'm going to be patient as I'm watching this total climb. All right, let's roll on our next spot on the board. 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Chicago White Sox 53-46, 22-29 on the road at the Texas Rangers 50-50, 24-23 at home at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Well, Port Dopes Cal Quantrill made me look like an ass clown last start, bragging about how he's pitching and the money he's making me, and then he gets absolutely annihilated, and I look the clown. Extremely disappointing. We have Anthony Kay. Now, I backed Anthony Kay in his last start Friday, July 17th. We have Roof Globe and Globe Life Field. We know that's a run suppressing environment. We had Anthony Kay going up against the Jays. And Anthony Kay's not been good this year. He's been serviceable. 4.24 ERA, 1.37 whip. He's got a 5.33 expected ERA. Look, it's not Yokohama, man. These guys are tough to pitch against, and he's felt that. He started pitching better, and then he went up against the Jays. And we backed him on Friday, July 17th. We backed him against the Jays, but we were fading Spencer Miles. And we know the Jays aren't hitting lefties. Still, Anthony Kay couldn't get an out in the 5th inning. He went 4 innings. He walked 3 batters. He allowed 2 earned runs. He allowed a jack. He wasn't great here. I mean, look at the picture. It's if you look at that picture for too long, you don't invest in him. Yeah, I won't get into it. But that is Anthony Kay here. He's being serviceable at best. Then we have Port Dopes Cal Quantrill. 3.93 ERA, 1.29 whip. It's got a 4.90 expected ERA. We got 2 angles there from Rod Zawacki on unders in the Tigers game. Cal Quantrill moved into the starting rotation. He'd been in the bullpen. And he started pitching really well. That July 10th at home versus the Astros, it was a 7-3 win. We cashed on Cal again. He allowed with that 1 earned run. It was a solo shot. Look, here's another guy who's just not going to get you strikeouts, but he's going to get you soft contact. And then I get cocky. He goes into Atlanta, and he allows 11 hits in 4 innings, 6 earned runs, and he gets touched up. He still went 4 innings, got lit up immediately, and so at least he didn't absolutely annihilate the bullpen, but it wasn't pretty. I think that he can bounce back here. Of course, I'm going to say that. Like you guys would, you know that I've believed in Port Dopes, Cal Quantrill all my life, and it's cost me a lot of money. It was starting to get some money back in my pocket until the last debacle that we just witnessed. Let's talk about this the bullpen. The Rangers bullpen is so bad. And we talked about it on today's show that who in their right mind would have thought there'd be a 4-run over 9 innings difference between these two bullpens over the last 30 days? Insanity. The White Sox bullpen just keeps pitching better and better while this Rangers bullpen does not look very good. Over the last 30 days, Rangers bullpen 6.46 ERA, 1.54 whip. And then when it comes to the sticks, the Rangers are annihilating lefties. We saw it again today. They're destroying lefties. And the fact that that line moved so heavily towards the Rangers, Troy Torrance told us we must back the Rangers. And I got scared because of the line movement. But, it saved me more money than it's cost me, but it certainly cost me here because I love Kumar Rocker. Want to back him. White Sox versus Righties, 268, 791 OPS. Let's get into the line history here. So both teams are hitting. This total is sitting here at an 8.5 minus 120 to the over. I guess it's kind of high for Arlington. And then when we get to the money line here in this one, we've had no movement at all. Just sitting here at minus 110 since 1:59 p.m. today. No movement. Let's get to the price difference. First 5 in full game here. This is our second to last game on the board, Major League Baseball. Let's get into it. First 5 full game. We have the Rangers are minus 109. Show me a price difference. Minus 111. That's not a price difference because there's more VIG. White Sox are minus 101 a full game. First 5, they're minus 105. Look, I still want the Rangers against another lefty. Rangers against Anthony Kay. I want the Rangers, but I don't want to invest too much on Cal Quantrill. I mean, listen, Cal Quantrill's biggest fan doesn't want to invest too much in him. So I think it's a first 3 or a first 5, and I will decide which one. But I'm going to write here, don't bet both. It is probably irresponsible to put 2 units on Port Dope's Cal Quantrill. So that's it for me at this point. I want the Rangers. I want them against lefties. And I think that Quantrill's capable of bouncing back, but certainly not 2 units capable. All right, let's roll on to our next spot on the board. This is an absolute beauty. Who would have thought that Peter Lambert would be pitching at this level here? Black Harry Potter says Quantrill is iffy. Oh, he's certainly iffy. I think that's a nice way of putting it. I think it's a very kind way of putting it. Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara here. 3.89 ERA, 1.22 whip, 3.68 expected ERA. We had a great Friday with you guys. It was just yesterday where it was one of the worst days of the season for me yesterday. And so, a little shaky here. But we had Alcantara first 5 plus a half, and I told you guys that how could we not bet this? When any time you get a chance for Sandy first 5 plus a half with the way he's throwing this year, it just has to be backed. And he was excellent against the tough Brewers squad. He's pitching at an extremely high level right now. We have 3 straight quality starts. 8 of his last 9 starts have been quality. Good God, he's pitching well. We have Mark Zasowski on the first 5 under 4.5. You guys know that I much prefer first 3 unders, but I've opened up the first 5s once again, getting over the horrific nature of the bottom of the 5th when you're on the first 5 under. Let's talk about Peter Lambert, 3.03 ERA, 1.11 whip, 3.29 expected ERA. Hey, look, if it's Trombolone or whatever it is, his velocity is up 4 miles per hour, and he's pitching at a very high level. And he's making his brother, Jimmy Lambert, very, very proud. Look at the quality starts. I mean, it's just nonstop quality starts with both of these pitchers. So let's see. Now, we've had a couple of instances where he hasn't made it to the 6th inning. He's only gone 5 2/3, but this last start was a thing of beauty at home versus the Orioles. 10 strikeouts. It was a 3-2 loss. This guy, in his last 3 starts, 17 2/3, has allowed 2 earned runs. He has struck out 23 and walked 5. He's just pitching as better than he's ever pitched. Remember, he didn't make the team out of spring. He went to the minors. He had an out clause in his contract if he didn't make the team. He exercised the out clause, and he called the Astros bluff. When he exercised the out clause, they re-signed him and they brought him up. So he believed in himself, and he got rewarded. He bet on himself and he got rewarded. When we get to the bullpens, the Marlins bullpen is pitching poorly. Wrong time for them to do that. The Astros bullpen is pitching elite. 2.83 ERA, 1.19 whip. Marlins bullpen, 5.11 ERA, 1.31 whip. Not pitching well. And when it comes to the sticks, the Marlins are still raking. 282, 845 OPS. Can Lambert slow that down? Because the Orioles were hitting. He shut down the Rays who were hitting hard. He got touched up by the Twins. But he's been able to handle tough offenses. And the Astros are hitting better. 238, 744 OPS over the last 30 days. Let's get into the line history here for Astros Marlins. We've had a 10-cent move to Lambert. I think we should respect that. A minus 105 to minus 115. And we have Heritage at minus 120. Bookmaker at minus 113. Heritage at minus 120. Heritage opened it at minus 120, hasn't moved it. I'm definitely going to look at the price difference for 5 and full games. So don't worry about that if you're curious. Now we've had a huge move to the over. Huge move. This one opened up at a 7.5 heavily juiced to the over, but now we have an 8 heavily juiced to the over. You know, sometimes when you see the market move in a direction, you know, in this respect, let's say it's a 7.5 minus 125 to the over, then it moves to an 8 at a pick'em. It's barely moved because it's already juiced to the over. When they move it to an 8 and it's minus 118 to the over, minus 102 to the under, that is a real legitimate move towards the over. So they're saying that there's some vulnerability here. Vulnerability. Rod's wife says Marlins in a nosedive. So that makes me uncomfortable here. Now, if we were to connect the dots, and I think it's going to take more time with the market to marinate, but we have a 10-cent move to the Astros. We have a move to the over. Well, we would then assume that it's the Marlins that are the vulnerable team, and it's Sandy Alcantara that's vulnerable. So let's see. Astros are minus 114 full game. First 5 minus 120. Again, with the more vig, it's not that big of a deal. That means that the Marlins are plus 104 full game, plus 103 first 5. So it's not that big of a deal. A top set in the house. Great to see you, top set. Unfortunately, top set gave me some great messages on the Monday when I was traveling. Unfortunately, I was on airplane mode and I didn't receive them until it was too late. And he was going to be putting money in my pocket, and he went 7-0 today. Nice job, Elio. I love to see that. Great work. Rod's Wax says, but over the total in Miami road games, there's a team with a good bullpen whose whip is 1.35 or better. Over his record during 2026 season, 21-6. Wow, you know, Rod's had a few trends here where, you know, I'm sitting here going, why is this moving to the over? And then he has the trends to back up why it is moving to the over. We were very lucky to have him in our chat. So there we go. There we go. That is telling me to just bet the Astros and to bet them full game. That's what this is all telling me. It's just full game Astros. Now, let's see if we have any cash flow information. I don't necessarily need it. Remember the 50-unit run we had in 3 weeks, we were barely touching the cash flow. So we know that it's not necessary for success. But we have 74% of tickets and 85% of cash on the Marlins. 65 and 91 on the over. Look, this is silver platter type stuff here. Mark Sasowski says, I think the discrepancy in the first 5 under is the market saying the runs come late. Well, let's dive deeper into that. Let's take a look at this first 3, and let's take a look at the full game and what it is. So the full game, sorry, I'm taking a look at that. Oh, the Rockies game is over. What the hell happened? It must not have been good because you guys didn't tell me about it. It must have been bad. You guys would have told me if I... Oh, no, they won! Let's go. Okay. I was certain. Oh, wow. Look at that. Top set says he gave my son the plays 40... 7-6, right? I'm not tripping. 8-7. Yeah, 8-7 Colorado. Oh, I love it. I love it, top set. Okay. So back here. So let's take a look. So we have an 8, but this is an 8 that's minus 120 to the over. I still think if they believe in the first 3 under 2.5, that it should be a pick 'em. And if there's any juice towards the under, it means it's very live. That's how I would read this right now. So let's take a look here. The first 3 under is minus 125 to the under with a juice to the over 8. Yeah, no, I think you are right as usual. Mark Sasowski, keep an eye on our guy. He's a great capper. Yeah, I think that the first 300 is still within the realm of possibilities, but I'm going to bet the Astros tonight. And then the first 3 under, I'm going to put the minus 125, and then I'm going to put the question marks. All right. Well, this card, look, it's a fun card to cap, and I'm not going to sit here saying, "Oh, I find that when you get more confident in the card, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a better ROI. But I like this card a lot, and we've put together a winning day in MLB today, which was much needed. So let's go over. Let's review. I came here with 3 bets on the board: Angels minus 115, Dodgers minus 115, Tigers plus 100. Well, I want Garrett Cole first 5 minus a half if he's going up against Mitch Keller. If he's going up against a better pitcher than Mitch Keller, Bubba Chandler, I still want it. Still want it. I got to the Pirates first 5 today, and the game was canceled. For whatever reason, I don't think I'm running to it right now. And that is if Chandler goes up against Will Warren. But I do think that the advantage the Pirates have with the sticks is legitimate here. Oh, sorry. I'll move this over here. Then we have, if it is Bennett versus Kramer, and I'm a Kramer believer, I want Bennett. I want the Red Sox first 5 and full game. And if they win, I want him again. I'm going to fade Bradish after the $90 million contract first 5 full games. So we'll have to wait for that to all kind of confirm. Then the Mets first 5 plus a half. Look, the books are giving a ton of respect to Logan Henderson. And why wouldn't they? Why is it moving to the over? I'm off of that spot right now, comfortably off. Then I'm backing Landon Root against Seth Lugo. I'm going to be backing the Giants first 5 in full game. And I will put this out on X and put it in our Discord and we'll see if anything changed. I'll be sitting with this for a while here. Then we found out that Cavalli is not pitched to Coors, but Rodswaggy gives a lot of angles why he likes the under here, and I get it. I think it's the first 3 under and the first 5 under. I'm not going to take the Nats over Gabriel Hughes. I'm a big Gabriel Hughes fan. And then the A's Diamondbacks game has thrown me for a loop. I can understand why it's moving to the over because of how bad. You're right. I forgot that we talked about that, Sharpie. Thank you for the reminder that you guys let us know that Max Fried is due to 60 pitches that he was supposed to throw in the rehab outing tomorrow, that he's going to pitch that in the doubleheader. I'm going to have to put some study into that tonight. But I kind of like Merle Kelly's last few starts, and I'll let that market marinate. I want the Reds first 5 plus a half. I expect to bet that as soon as the show's over. I don't really know why it's moving to the over. We talked, but AM came in and said 90-degree weather in Seattle, which is abnormal for the Pacific Northwest. Angels first 5 in full game. We cashed them both today, and I understand that I do not like going back to the same bets, but I have conviction here. I want Detmers, and I want the Angels first 5 in full game. I'm already on them full game. I want to add the first 5. Then I have some interest in adding the Dodgers first 5. Some interest. I think I can get there, but I do think that Nola's pitched better than his numbers indicate. And, of course, the expected ERA tells us that story. Then the Twins, the full game under 8 and the first 3 under, I want it. It's going to be a sweat with Ober versus Ciccone, but the fact that it's moving towards the under. Now, we know we have run-suppressing weather, but these are 2 pitchers with not very good statistical profiles. Ober's been better since coming off the IL, and then you have Ciccone off this very long rest, which I hope is going to be okay for him. And then the Rays, I'm going to bet as soon as I can. If it's Spencer Miles, I'm going to fade him. And then the Padres, I think, should be backed here with the way they're hitting lefties, even if it's Martin Perez on the mound off a break. But I do think that the first 3 under is still somewhat in play. I like Martin Perez. I think he was dealing with some arm fatigue. It wasn't an arm-related injury. So I like the Padres. I'm going to put a star there, especially with the way Machado is making up for lost time. Then let's move on to the first 3 under in Tigers, Cubs. Now this total is climbing, and we know that there's a 12-cent price difference for the Cubs first 5. We saw that today with Peterson. It was very easy to back this gas can trash pitcher and David Peterson. Sorry about the terrible things I'm calling you, David Peterson. I know you made me money in the past, but there's a reason why the Mets gave up on you, and then you screwed me over after that first start. When I said to put a line through all of your numbers for the Mets, you got me right in the larynx. Then Rangers first 3 or first 5. I'm not betting both. I think there can be a bounce back spot here. Black Harry Potter says, last time Nola pitched great against my Dodgers was July 2024, which says we're going to cook them tomorrow. Well, I'm on the Dodgers. So I have no problem with all that. Full game Astros, I'm going to bet as soon as I get done here. And the first 3 under is a possibility. Mark Sasowski on the first 5 under 4.5. And that is Major League Baseball for Wednesday, July 22nd. Now we have a big 6-game WNBA card. It's the last WNBA we're going to bet for a little while. We continue to deliver in the WNBA. And we've just been kind of sitting here at the same number for quite some time. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's still a double-digit ROI right now. So I don't mind just sitting here at this number. And I do think that we should be pensive on any sport the week before the All-Star break. WNBA is no different. But this year we're 49-37. We're hitting 57%. We're plus 7.44 units. Our ROI is not at double digits. Sorry, it's plus 8.65%. And our average line is minus 111. So we are delivering in WNBA. And any card right before the break is tricky. So let's just acknowledge that and let's attack. I have moved on game 1 here. Phoenix Mercury 9-18, 5-9 on the road at the LA Sparks 10-15, 5-7 at home at Crypto.com in Los Angeles, California. Mercury coming off snapping their 5-game losing streak with a 72-63 victory at home over Connecticut on Sunday. The Sparks return home after losing all 4 games of their road trip. Now it finished with a pretty tough loss, 90-82 at Dallas on Sunday when they played pretty well. Of course, Kelsey Plum remains out of the lineup with a leg injury. Let's get into the line history, and then I'll tell you how I see this game because I have moved on it, and I am following the line move. Oh, and it looks like the line moves. No, it's not. It's moved at some books. So here at BetOnline, we've only seen a small move. We did see a 1.5 to a 2. Then it came back this afternoon to a 1.5. Overall, there's been 10 cents of movement on the spread towards the Sparks. From a total standpoint here, we have the 178.5. So this is my 4th year capping WNBA, my 2nd year capping the full season of WNBA. And last year, there were some angles that we used in NBA that didn't work in the WNBA. And I thought about it a long time in the offseason, and I decided to go back to the well with the main ones. And that, first off, is any team that loses by 30-plus points has to be back on the spread on the next game. That's been catching nonstop all year. And then the big key is fading fading teams when they're dealing with injuries. The opposition doesn't overlook them like they do in the NBA. The Mercury snapped their 5-game losing streak with a 72-63 victory at home over Connecticut on Sunday. They're 9-18 on the year. If you were to say that no team needs the All-Star break more than the Phoenix Mercury to get away from the game for a couple days, I would agree. And they're in LA. I think they're ready for the All-Star break. They snapped their losing streak. They feel good about themselves. Feel good enough to go party in LA after the game. The Sparks are a different situation. In the NBA, I love backing teams that lose all 4 games or come off a terrible road trip and come back home. I will fade every team that sweeps a road trip and comes back home. Here, I think the Sparks give you everything here. Everything. El Martinez says, live in Phoenix, firmly believe the Mercury are not good and should be faded unless catching major points. I think the Mercury will give us value at times this year. But I think there's a lot that's right here. I'm right with my man, Mark. Mark A. and I are the same thing. I moved on the money line at minus 135. I did not want to mess with the point spread here. But Rod says, bet against LA when playing with 2 days rest. LA's record since the 2025 season, 3-16 against the spread. I would love if you matriculated. I'd love if you were able to, if they were coming off of a loss or if they were coming off consecutive losses. I would love to see the difference in that edge, but always important. And we love hearing the trends, Rod, my man. But I'm on the Sparks money line. I love the situation. I think the Mercury want to party in LA. They snapped their losing streak. I think LA needs to snap their losing streak before the All-Star break. So it's the Sparks money line. I got it minus 135. Let's move on. Game 2, 3 p.m. Eastern. The Minnesota Lynx 21-6, 11-2 on the road. Seattle Storm 6-22, 4-9 at home. Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. These teams coming off a hard-fought 105-102 Lynx win here on Monday. It was the Lynx 6th straight win, Storm's 5th straight loss. But man, did the Lynx need to put everything together. Now it's going to be fun seeing when Fee comes back and the Feast of Collier coming back. We expect after the All-Star break, but. Kayla McBride made 6-3. She went for 33. Olivia Miles had 32, 8, and 8. Minnesota very lucky that Paige Becker's girlfriend was available in the draft, because it appears to me that Olivia Miles was the best player available in the draft. Now we'll wait and see what their careers look like. McBride, Miles, and Courtney Williams combined for 30 of Minnesota's 37 field goals, and they went 18 of 18 from the free throw line. Wait till Fee is running with them. I do have the future on the Lynx at plus 650. Ronnie Crawford has it at plus 1,200. Shout out to Ronnie Crawford. Johnson scored 26 for the Storm, made 5 threes. Cook added 18 off the bench. Heidemann had 12 and 10 assists here. And AM says he'll move officially in the morning, but Storm, Aces, Fever, and Wings for him. So the Storm gave the Lynx everything they could handle, and a lot of you guys were on the Storm, and you guys were absolutely right. I wasn't on the other side, but I should have just joined you guys. Here we have a total opening up at 174, now 178.5. And when we get to the spread, we have had a half-point move towards Minnesota, and it's a move I respect because they just took Seattle's best punch, and they should be ready here. Let's get into the cash flow and talk about the cash flow for the first game as well as the second game. That first game has 93% of tickets and 87% of cash on Los Angeles, but we do see the line moving towards LA. And, I think those are sharp bettors. I'm not concerned about it being public now. If this is extremely public at 5 or 6 p.m. tomorrow, I'll probably be concerned. You have the tickets on the over and the cash on the under in that Los Angeles Phoenix game. Here we have 67% of the tickets and 82% of cash on Seattle, and it's moved to 10.5. I think if that and Fee is probable, says Ronnie Crawford. Wow, I thought they're, how long is she going to play? 10 or 15 minutes? Maybe that's the reason for the line move. If Fee comes back, then the Storm will become more appealing. Wow, I didn't know that Fee was probable. That's cool that she gets a game. So Fee back, ? We'll find out. And then if she's back, I kind of do want the Storm here. El Martinez says Storm's the only way he can play it. And Rod White says Mercury are 4-0 against spread in their last 4 meetings in LA. Again, Rod, I think that trend makes a ton of importance. But you guys know I love the psychological capping. And for me, I think the Mercury want to be on the All-Star break badly. And what better start the All-Star break than going out to a club in LA? But we'll see. And Rod White says Storm are 6-0 against spread in their last 6 games as a home underdog. So let's see if Fee's back. If that's the reason for the market move, then the Storm should be bet. If Fee's back, I'll move on the Storm. How about that? Maybe it should just be black and white. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Sky, 9-17, 4-10 on the road. New York Liberty, 14-12, 7-5 at home. We're at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Look, I was just late to the party, man. I was just late to the party, unfortunately, because the Liberty coming back off snapping their losing streak, flying from Dallas. They won on Monday night. They're playing without Fibic and Sabali, who will remain out, is clearly a spot where I should have moved on the Sky, and the Sharps did, and they moved the line heavily. Chicago opened up at plus 11.5. It's now plus 8.5. I imagine so in these situations, the 8.5 generally still cashes, and I'm so jealous of the people who got a better line that I stay off, and I leave money on the table. Total opened up at 180.5, now 179.5. Sky coming off having their minus 2-game winning streak, snapped in a tough 93-91 loss at Atlanta on Sunday. Skylar Diggins out of the lineup for the Sky, and the Liberty coming off that hard-fought 99-98 overtime win at Dallas on Monday night. It was a perfect finish because I cashed the money line. AM cashed his wings plus 3.5. It was just perfect. Mark A, very sharp. Keep an eye on what Mark A does. Sky plus 10.5 for him. Great job. If I could get 10.5 right now, I'd be on it with you. 8.5. I just got to be jealous and cheer you on. Let's move on to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I've moved on the Aces. I'm on the Aces. 18-7, 11-2 on the road. Mystics 13, 12, 5, and 6 at home. Care first 3-9 Washington, D.C. What the Mystics do on the boards is very impressive, and it's the type of board play that you want to back. You want them in your pocket. What they just did against Golden State in back-to-back games shows that the Mystics are going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. And if they can sneak into the playoffs, man, they're not going to be an easy first-round opponent. And what a terribly difficult situation. You play the Valkyries in back-to-back. You beat them in a sold-out Chase Center on Monday night. The next day you fly home, and who is waiting for you? The Las Vegas Aces, the rested Aces. We talked about how bad they looked. Then they had the 7 days off, went up to Toronto. And I told you guys that I wanted to double down on them, but I couldn't because I'd beaten the Liberty line by so much that I needed to ensure that I would go 50-50 and just lose a little bit of vig if I only cashed one. But it should have been a triple-up spot. The Aces are rested, and they're angry. Rod's Wax says Mystics are 6-1 against spread in their last 7 games as an underdog. Oh, I would not be fading the Mystics unless they were in a horrific situation. The fact that they have to fly, they flew today, Tuesday. They flew from San Francisco back home to Washington. That's a long flight. And then they have the Aces waiting for them is just too much for them to handle, I believe. Let's take a look at this. This total opened up at 159, is now 164. And then on the point spread here, the 5.5 minus 115 is now 6.5 minus 110. I got the 6.5 minus 110. Mark A, great job getting the 5.5. And then let's get into the cash flow here. We have 60% of tickets on Las Vegas, but 86% of cash, 60 and 94 on the over. In that Liberty game, by the way, 71% of tickets are on Chicago, 63% of cash is on New York. If that could move over to like a 9.5, if it's a 10, I could move on it. I really like the Aces here. I really like them here. I don't want to ever fade the Mystics, but let's talk about the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern with the Connecticut Sun at the Indiana Fever. Connecticut Sun 7-19, 3-9 on the road. Fever 16-10, 10-5 at home at Cambridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. The Connecticut Sun are a banged up group. Man, do I still have the I still have the injury report here. God, this is a team dealing with injuries. They appear to be a well-coached squad and they're seemingly playing more than the sum of their parts, but who the hell's playing tomorrow? Sanaya Rivers is a game-time decision. Brittany Griner is a game-time decision. And Lee Edwards out. I think we need to see here exactly who's going to be in the lineup. And look at that, Rod's Whack, another great stat, 33 and 37 against the spread, our road favorites this season in WNBA. El Martinez says, doesn't it seem too easy to go to the Aces here? Sure. But it's not like we're selling Washington high. We're selling them very high off what they just did to Golden State. So yes, it's too easy because it's a terrible situation for Washington, a team that we don't want to fade. Yeah, it's easy. And that doesn't concern me that it's easy. But yeah, it doesn't feel too easy. If anybody watched what the Mystics just did in those 2 games versus Valkyries, they don't want to fade Washington. I don't want to fade Washington. Best rebounding team by far in the WNBA. I don't want to fade them. But I have to. And then we have injuries with the Fever, whether Caitlin Clark plays. The Sun are coming off having their modest 2-game winning streak, snapped in a 72-63 loss at the Mercury on Sunday. The Fever coming off their 4th win in 5 games, 108-88 at home over Liberty on Saturday. Let's get into the line history here. This opened up at plus 11. It's now a plus 10. Again, I want to know who the hell is going to be in the lineup. We'll get a better sense of that tomorrow. This total's gone from 175 to 178, and I'm just going to sit back and do very little. Let's talk about the final spot on the board here. 10 p.m. Eastern, Dallas Wings 17-9, 9-5 on the road. The Portland Fire 11-15, 6-6 at home at the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. The Wings coming off a tough 99-98 overtime loss at home to Liberty. Snapped their 6-game winning streak, and Becker's missed the game. It's unclear if she'll be back for this one, but why wouldn't she? So this has gone from 5.5 to 4.5. The Wings have gone from 5.5 point favorites, 4.5 point favorites. But don't we all expect Paige Beckers to be announced in and for us to get a better line on the Portland Fire? Because that's my expectation. Fire coming off their second loss in 3 games, 101-93 at the Lynx on Saturday. They're well rested, and that we've had a 1-point move towards them. And I will join in. This total's gone from 173 to 174.5. But I want Paige Beckers to be announced in. Now, if she's now we've got back to a 5. Okay, she's playing. So this just happened. 11:02 p.m. This happened 58 minutes ago. So Beckers is going to be announced in, and we should get a 6.5, right? Or a 7. And AM says, really like the Wings tomorrow, but hopefully Beckers is out. If Beckers is out, that'll be a little different. But I think Beckers is in, and we're going to get a nice line to back the fire. Sammy Kolker in the house. Great to have you, Sammy. Says, Rivers was probable last game, was randomly ruled out last minute. Says, I think she plays. Morrow's back in the lineup, a huge piece for the Sun. Good matchup for the Sun as well. 10.5 is too many. Give me the Sun. Well, that's great, Sammy. I will copy and paste that comment, and I will share it with everybody on our morning show tomorrow. But my plan is in place. This is a great card. Let's go get this money on this Wednesday card. We put in the work. You get out of life what you put into it. Now we let everything marinate. We've done all the work. We let the market marinate. We decide how we are going to attack this board, how we are going to build our bankroll, and how we are going to succeed in a very difficult business. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me here today. I'm going to get all my action in now over the next probably hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm going to get all my action in, pop it into our Discord, and then I'll put it out on X. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat rocking with me on the nightly bag. It means a ton to us. We're really trying to build this show because there's some concerns whether we'll have it come September because we got the live streams for football and things like that. So if you guys want the nightly bag, let us know in the chat. Let us know because we are deciding here over the next few weeks what we're going to do with these night shows. And I really like having them with you. It really is helping me. But this huge role I went on over June was all because of working with you guys, copying and pasting your information, doing the work, and then letting it all marinate. Todd Clinton says, do you feel in the CFL that the Riders must be bet? No, Todd, I'd like to fade that move. And I'll have at least half of my action ready for tomorrow. No, it's gone from 4 to 4.5. I haven't looked at it in the last 12 hours, but no, I think this is a buy low spot on the Elks because they almost lost to Chase Bryce. So no, I don't see it like that. But I also think it's important to know that my sides haven't been that strong this year. I'm 8-1 in my last 9 unders over 2 weeks, but my sides haven't been. Oh, sorry, that's 9. Excuse me, No, that's right. Is it 9? No, sorry, 9-1 in my last 2 weeks of unders. So I don't feel as confident in sides at this point, but we'll get there. Yeah, I'm with Rod Zawacki. And yeah, the story about what happened with the team captain is a horrible one. It's a horrible story. A sad story. And the victim was not the Saskatchewan Roughrider. I don't want to dive too much into that story at this point. Maybe we'll touch on it a little bit tomorrow, but no, I think that's a buy low spot on the Elks. And I think that this probably messed up the Green Riders, but we'll talk more about it. That is our show for today. Thank you guys so much. The Godfather, Rod Zawacki, Ronnie Young. Thank you, Ron, my man. 604 in the house. Mark A. Todd Clinton, L. Martinez, Sammy Kolker, A.M. A great group. Mark Stasowski. Thank you to all of you guys. We had the Black Harry Potter joining us, a Sharpie, a Top Set. Thank you guys for putting in your ideas and your angles. It's very, very, very helpful. And very thankful to cap with you guys. And I want more money. I want a bigger bankroll. I have dreams that I need to fulfill through this. And working with you is the way to get it. Let's get this money. Thank you to Swiggy on the 1s and 2s, man. Leche. Los bookmakers.
It's easier to sleep in the black. When you're losing your ass and feeling so, you know what to do. Tune in to Pop Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.